Hi, my name is Gabrielle Gross, and today I'll be sharing my two infographics based on my technical instructions assignment. The two sub-audiences I chose in relation to the assignment include book lovers with a technical background and Python experience, and Barnes& Noble's press marketing team. In terms of values, book lovers in tech value finding popular books in their preferred genre. As an avid reader, I understand how tedious it can be to sift through millions of general book recommendations to find one that suits my taste. Thankfully, it is ingrained in all those with a technical background to find the optimal solution to a problem. And what's more optimal than automating the extraction of book data to find new content to read? On the flip side, Barnes& Noble's press marketing team values data and strategies that benefit the overall business. They prioritize methods that set Barnes& Noble's one step ahead of the competition. By knowing what genres and authors are selling or how the competition is marketing their books, Barnes& Noble's marketing team can make informed decisions about what and how to advertise their own book stock. Both of these audiences have a use for automated book data that will simplify some aspect of their lives. The only difference is that book lovers use the data for personal leisure, and Barnes& Noble's press uses it for business initiatives. On the topic of infographic design, for the infographic tailored to Barnes& Noble's press, I kept the design more minimalistic and clean, using Barnes& Noble's brand colors as the main color scheme. Since the infographic serves as more of a business proposal, getting the main arguments for each section was more important than fun graphics and busy colors. This style is best suited for a marketing team that prioritizes market expansion and business value. On the other hand, reviewing infographics tailored for book lovers in tech, the design is more fun and engaging. Cute pastel colors and graphics are included for clarity to help draw the reader's attention to each section. This infographic was advertised more as a fun side project, hence the light and engaging colors and graphics. Moreover, the content is formatted in such a way that it highlights the personal benefits of the project, fitting the values of book lovers in tech. Moving on to the content of the graphics. For the Barnes& Noble's Press infographic, I included information about how web scraping could benefit the marketing and sales of Barnes& Noble's. The data was from a more logistical business perspective. As you can see, the main topic points are readers' insights, market expansion, trend spotting, business value, and overall benefits. I made sure to omit all technical terms involved in the process of web scraping. And unlike the infographic for book lovers in tech, the technical process of web scraping was not included. Each category instead outlined business advantages that web scraping could provide each marketing team, making it a useful practice overall for Barnes& Noble's marketing team and as a whole. Looking more deeply at each section, you can see that Reader Insights focuses more on like personalized advertisement, and market expansion helps outline how web scraping can help set Barnes& Nobles ahead of competition through having real-time data updates. Trend spotting helps with knowing which genres or which authors are trending and then making informed decisions about marketing choices or advertisements. Business value is how web scraping as a whole can help boost general performance compared to other competitors and how they can boost their business model. And in overall benefits, this is a general summary of how web scraping as a whole can benefit the Barnes& Noble's press marketing team. Looking at the infographic tailored to book lovers with a technical background, the content falls more on the technical side of the topic. The main purpose of the infographic is to outline the basic implementation steps needed to scrape a website. While no code or pseudocode is provided, one must have a general understanding about what a script is and how to write one in Python to complete this project. And that's just kind of the general expectation that this infographic holds. Overall, it's a very high level but to the point description of what the web scraping process entails for a online bookstore. Going over the steps in more detail, first off, starting with requiring that the reader finds a bookstore site to scrape. That's kind of the main point of this infographic, to scrape data from a website. There's also a disclaimer at the end, since not all sites legally allow web scraping. So just to be careful with that. The next step highlights what Selenium is and how it relates to the web scraping process. And then underneath is the step that you need to take with Selenium. And terms of adding it to your script. The third step is finding the XPaths from the bookstore site you grabbed in step one. XPath is defined at the top, and then there's a tip about finding more broad CSS selectors, since a lot of online websites are prone to updating their site, which makes it hard later on if you made a more specific XPath link to a specific element. The fourth step is organizing all the data gathered in the previously three steps into a nice format that is readable and easier to analyze. Pandas helps with that. It is defined at the top, and it kind of I added a description at the bottom on how it actually helps. And then the last step is saving the data into a CSV. This is so that you can export the data that you gathered in your script from steps 1 through 4, and then you can use that exported data in other ways for future analysis. And then the end section is just general tips that will make life easier when completing this project. Book lovers looking to start such a project will find this guide really helpful because it serves as an outline on what steps need to be completed and what they need to research in order for this project to be successful. Thank you for listening.